Understanding chord functions is absolutely imperative if your goal is to experience improvisational freedom. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly how the great masters of improvisation think about chord functions, because this mentality is central to improvisational freedom. Barry Harris himself is the one who really showed this mentality. Okay, so what mentality am I talking about? We've all heard Barry Harris say that there's only two chords. There's the 1 chord and there's the 5 chord. This mentality gives rise to improvisational freedom. Why? Because it's simple. And when you're making decisions in real time as an improviser, you better be simplifying every step of the way. That is why this mentality of there are only 2 chords is so crucial. So we're gonna break down this concept, because now you're wondering,
how does this make any sense? How could there only be 2 chords?
Remember, guiding principle is, this is a mentality, it's not theory. We're outside of the realms of theory. Although theory will help you here, it's not the most important thing. Just focus on the mentality. So how do we break this down? We can think of the 1 chord as representing home. And all the chords that can be substituted for the 1 chord can also be home. We can think of the 5 chord as away from home, and all the chords that can be substituted for the 5 chord represent away from home. And that's how we can boil everything down to just 1 and 5. So looking more closely at this diagram here, things start to make sense. Big opportunities open up for us, as long as we can see this divided into 2 equal parts, right? You have tonic prolongation, and then you have dominant, which is preceded by predominant, right? So everything is breaking down into tonic or home and dominant or away from home. And you see we literally have the 2-5-1 right here. We see the 2 is predominant, where the 5 is dominant. Now here's something interesting, right? We see on the tonic prolongation that the 3 chord or the 6 chord functions exactly the same as the 1 chord does, but here's the trick, right? Barry Harris would absolutely show us, and has shown this trick. It's just to turn the 6 chord into a dominant chord and away from home chord. But it's a secondary away from home or dominant chord, right? It's secondary because it's going to a key that is not the key we started in. It's going to the key of 2. And if we put a dominant chord in front of that 2 chord, that 2 chord now sounds like a secondary home. And this is where the Barry Harris mentality blows up big time, because we can see in this progression alone, we have layers of harmony happening at different time frames. So let's just get into the music, and you're gonna hear everything, and this is so easy. Right, listen to the 1 chord and the 6 chord together. Hear that? Right? It's the same chord, right? Literally, it's the identical function. Now listen where it departs, right? Instead of going from 1 to 6, I'm gonna go to 1 to 5 of 2, okay? 1 to 5 of 2. Listen to the difference. 1 to 5 of 2. Going to the 2. Did you hear this? Okay, we're gonna stop there, because I know it's like, whoa, you're turning into a genius in real time. The 5 of 2 chord is a secondary dominant, or just an away from home chord, where 2 becomes a home chord, right? So 1 is a home chord, but look, now 2 is also a home chord. What's in between? An away from home chord, which is the 5 of 2, which is known as a secondary dominant, which is the 6 chord, but it's a dominant 6 chord. And we see this throughout the past 100 years of Western composition. Think about rhythm changes, blues turnaround, where the 6 is dominant because it's the 5 of the 2 chord. Now it's about integrating that into practical musical making. So here's how it comes into actual music making. When we play home chords, we're going to use a certain set of extensions or chromatic approach. When we use away from homes, we're going to use a certain set of extensions or chromatic approach. That's it. That's what it all boils down to. It's the voice leading between home and away from home and all the different connections that away from home could have back to home and that home could have to away from home. And those connections are voice leading. Now, if you don't know a whole lot about voice leading and what I'm saying is starting to scare you, I fully understand you. That's why I made a free course. It's literally called the Intro to Fretboard Mastery. That's so you don't have an excuse to not become an absolute freak of a genius from watching my channel and taking my free course. That's gonna show you voice leading foundations in the context of improvisational freedom. I'm talking Alan Holdsworth level freedom, Frank Gambale level freedom, Kurt Rosenwinkel, Wayne Krantz, George Benson, Greg Howe, Guthrie Govan, Julian Lage. And honestly, my improvisational freedom is not bad either. And that's because I have the mentality that these guys have. Yeah, I play in my own style with my own technique, but I have the mentality of all those people I just mentioned. So my free course is gonna give you that mentality in the form of a fretboard mapping system. Insane free course. And I actually update it on a regular basis. So it's like, I'm basically just trying to create this meme of the best free course ever across all genres of education across the board. Just like, hello, I'm condensing a master's degree in jazz performance into a 15-minute free course. Welcome to 2025. But the key is you need to watch my YouTube videos in the context of the free course. They work together. All right, so you see I was just playing giant steps in that clip right there. Now let's look at giant steps and see home away from home. Let's look at the simplicity of giant steps right now. This is gonna click your brain way off the scales. Now, I know if you're sick to your stomach because giant steps is intimidating you, just chill, hold on. I'm about to show you how easy this is. Look, the B major is a home chord. That means you're gonna play all those home stable extensions like natural 9, major 7, natural 6. But you're only gonna play those once you've already laid out the triad. Now here's the big kicker, those triads are moving super fast right there. Look, do you even have time to play in the extensions? No, you actually don't. But when you subdivide like this, that's when it starts to make sense. But the point is you can't even try to subdivide like that until you can just lay out basic stuff like this. See, you got to learn those basic, pure triadic voice leading. And did it sound like I needed any more notes beyond the triad? Hell no, that was plenty. Got the point across. This is an exercise. It's called giant steps because it's a turbo booster to mastery. And the key is to understand it in terms of home away from home, right? So I got that B major. That's a home chord. Right? The D7, that's an away from home chord. It's the secondary dominant. It's literally 5 of flat 6, dude. So like, screw all that. It's an away from home chord. So that means you're gonna play all those chromatic altered extensions like this. Right? Those are all away from home notes, right? That's not stability, because watch what happens when I go home on G. Right? Home is like home. And even if I did home minor, right? Now I'm going to depart from giant steps for a second. I just want to show you what that G minor would sound like. It's still home. It's just minor home, right? So the D7 has the away from home chord. Now to make the example, just go into G minor, right? So D7 to G minor. It's you barely even really notice the subtle difference between major and minor. Why? Because the actual takeaway is that you just went home. It's a secondary home. It's not the place you started in, but this is Barry Harris showing us that like we don't even want to think in key centers. We want to think in terms of home and away from home, and we realize there are secondary homes, aka the home that you didn't start in at the beginning of the song. Like in giant steps, you start in B, so G would be a secondary home, E flat would be a secondary home. Which home matters the most? I don't know, it doesn't matter. They're all equal, I'd say. So that's why it's not secondary home, secondary dominant, it's just home away from home. So this is really chord functions. It's not even in a nutshell, this is actually just all there is to understand. Do not overcomplicate this. That's what you've been doing, and it's not your fault because all the channels, everybody's overcomplicating, these stupid theory nerds. You gotta remember, this stuff is mentality. It's not theory, right? We all know the theory. It's all out there. It's time to integrate that theory into mentality so you can actually use it in musical performance and creation. Now, the hard part after you know this is like, how the actual freaking hell do you practice any of this stuff? That's why I made the best free course in all of history. That's gonna show you how to practice, like straight up. I literally give specific practice assignments in each module, and there's rewards for submitting your homework to me. The biggest question I'm getting asked right now is,
Why are you giving so much stuff away for free?
it's because it's barely scratching the surface of climbing Mount Everest. But the whole thing is, once you actually see the summit of Mount Everest, then you can get there in like 6 months. And if you're absolutely serious about getting to the summit of Mount Everest as a guitarist, I have the best deal going. I don't talk about this enough, so I wanted to take a moment to show you something that's absolutely insane. So this is my course community on WAP. As you can see, these are all the live classes that we've had, and look at the topics that we're covering, okay? So now we're getting into the Barry Harris stuff, but we've been covering deep gold topics. And guess what? You can access the community for life for $275. See, this is what's included in the last lesson. You get the last lesson you ever need, and you get lifetime access to this course community. We have a weekly call every single Thursday, and all of those calls are recorded and archived. That's where all these are that you're looking at here. And additionally, we have the Ultimate Jazz Blues Mastery course included in that, the Fretboard Mastery course included in that, and you have access to all of that, including all the course updates, all future recorded classes, for one-time payment of $275. It's literally the best deal freaking going. So if you're a serious guitarist and improvisational freedom is your goal, there is literally no better investment you can make. And I really just wanted to be sure you're aware of this opportunity before I have to raise the price, which I'm absolutely going to before the end of this month. So get in on that at the $275 OG Legend price, lifetime freaking access. And that does include one-on-one lesson with me, where I give you the actual foundation and the full roadmap to mastery, so that when you're inside the course community, you can just thrive on all the material that's in there. So that's gonna be the second link in the description, mentalitymusic.com/last lesson. And I'll see you in my next video, which is gonna be about Caged. We're gonna talk about Caged. Huge. So many misunderstandings, still so much opportunity. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater when it comes to Cage. It's not completely useless, although it's very misleading. So the next video is gonna be epic. I might call it Caged is Preventing You from Experiencing Improvisational Freedom. That might be the title. If you got a better title, put it down in the comments, but something like that. That's obviously the point of the video. And then I'm actually gonna show you inversely how to leverage Cage to actually combine with my fretboard mastery system, and you're cooked. I mean, you're freaking genius. You can see Cage inside of my system, but you can't see my system inside of Cage. Cage is just drastically incomplete, and that's why I made a free course that actually gives you a complete fretboard mapping system. So that's the first link in the description. For you guys who've already done my free course, second link in the description. That's where you're gonna compound those lessons into intergalactic, comprehensive mastery like you already know in your mind exists. You just need to get absolutely certain on the mentality of that musical development, and that's why I offer the last lesson you'll ever need. So that's the second link in the description.